Good morning out there. Today is Friday, May 30th, 2025. I'm Anthony, and this is Drive Time. The thing on my mind I wanted to share with you is that I went on a job interview yesterday. I'm currently teaching high school math. I've been an administrator. This is for a math supervisor job, and I'm probably not going to get it. Let me start by saying that. I'm probably not going to get it. I really struggle, I think, with the interview phase and, the rapid fire. I'm more of a deep thinker, and let me prepare a response and get that to you later. What's the best approach in this situation? Well, let's, consider a few different options, evaluate them thoroughly, kick them around a little bit, and now let's pick the best one and see how it goes, right? Monitor progress, right? That's more my speed, but that's on the job, right? So can't get there unless I get the job. And while I could do it better in terms of preparing, right, anticipating some of the questions, like there's such low-hanging fruit that I always seem to botch, like what are components of a math program, what are some look-fors, in math instruction, and so on and so forth. Tell us about yourself and your experience, right? So I think I, really prepped for that first one because I feel like I don't have much going on there. I'm like, I've taught for this many years, blah, blah, blah. But, so yes, I do need to do a better job there, and just anticipating and preparing for some questions. And I know I said that was kind of one of my goals for this. Like I thought that while recording, I could be working on my public speaking skills and such. But the thing on my mind is this last question came out was, we received 50 applications for this position. Why you? I said that's a good question, but then I tried to say something to the effect of like, oh well, I've done the job, I know the content well, and just trying to think of the things that they want to hear, right? But ultimately, it comes down to the fact that I wish I'd said, I think, that you should hire me because I'm not like you. You should hire me, right? I should be on your team because I'm not like anyone else on your team. I don't walk like you, think like you, act like you. But I didn't say that. What do I mean by that? It's just that, my lived experiences are pretty unique. I've overcome quite a few, I'll just call them bouts with adversity, right? Other people call them ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Call them what you will. I've endured quite a bit where I see things differently. I'm often contrarian, right? Everyone is thinking this way, and I'm like, yeah, but have we considered, that thing? Which really has, in my experience, moved the conversation forward, and yeah, it should be simpler, right? I'm thinking now it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you get to the interview and they have their committee set up and their questions all crafted, and everyone's expecting to hear the same thing. This is what we're looking for. When we ask this question, here's what we want to hear. And that's where I'm saying, like, yes, I could need to do a better job anticipating those questions and preparing responses that are in line what they want to hear. But it's just not me. It's just not me, right? And it wouldn't capture me and what's made me successful. They asked me about morale, and I said, like, I really I listen to people, and I make really, really good solid connections, but I'm not afraid to do the silly things like sponsor ice cream socials and whatnot to put a smile on some teachers' faces. But it really comes down to the fact that I'm not like everyone else, that I've endured some things that make me better able to connect with people and understand their situations, be more empathetic, etc. Differentiate my style of leadership from one teacher to the next. That helps me help them, and then in turn, be better in the classroom for their kids. So you should hire me for your team because I'm not like you. But that's also asking you to go out, on take a little bit of a leap of faith. Well, if this guy's not like me, is he going to handle situations the way that I would handle them, and in a I don't know, favorable way, right? Well, again, it's what's favorable depends on it's the eye of the beholder. And but I think that yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. So, some questions for you out there, right? If you wouldn't mind commenting down below, just share some of your interview experience, right, as a candidate, or if you're in such a position where you're the one doing the interviewing. I don't know, some advice, right? Some advice, some tips, some tricks. How do you prepare for interviews? What are some of those? What are some of those times where you have hired a candidate that seemed, a bit unconventional, but piqued your interest, right? And it worked out, and so this is the way to go, and this is your advice for hiring managers. The other question is for anyone who's had some movement within their career, right? This idea of a time-based, I think you'd call it, resume versus a skills-based resume, right? Do you stick with the old, well, I worked here from this time to that time, and then I worked here from this time to that time, with each stop kind of list some accomplishments and responsibilities? Or do you go more skills-based? I guess I could try to figure out how to merge the two. As I have moved around a little bit, I get, right, it just gets weird, right, where I've tried to go more skills-based, but then I had, a jerk in the room ask, well, where are you now? And, can you describe, the last few stops and blah, blah, blah. When it's all in the application package, he really just revealed that he didn't look at the application package prior to my interview, right? So he didn't prepare and do his homework. Or maybe he did do his homework, and now he's just taking a moment to, puff his chest by putting me down. And I just said, look, I don't have anything to hide. Here's the movement, and I did after the interview even emailed the superintendent to just say, hey, look, here's, I alluded to it, I think in my cover letter, and I listed all of my previous employers in the application process. Said, here's the deal. Here's maybe some additional information, and shared some salary figures and reference letters from, the different superintendents I worked for, throughout the years. So, you do the best you can, but ultimately, I guess it is. It's. I'm not like everyone else. I have had a weird career, with some movement, and the typical tell us this, tell us that. It's. I don't think that process is going to work for me. I think need more of that sort of, heart-to-heart kind of conversation. What are more thorough? What are you looking for in the job? And here's how I've done it in other districts, and let's make it work. But I got to get there, right? Keep my chin up, keep swinging. I got my supporters. People keep reminding me of my talent, and it's just luck and timing, and I'll get there. I'll figure it out. Keep networking. In the meantime, still teaching. My contract is renewed for next year, so there's that. And be able to put food on the table, and still have some fun with the kids. But really, I've been successful as a leader, and would love to get back into such a position. One to have just more fulfilling work, knowing that I'm reaching more students and having just a greater impact by also influencing and impacting the other classrooms, right, and other teachers and their instruction. That was sort of the joy of being an administrator, getting to build programs and redo classrooms. It's very, very fun, and then create opportunities during several meetings, right, professional development sessions to talk about content, right, increase teachers' content knowledge, pedagogy, technology skills. Being an administrator was a lot of fun for me, and I'd love to get back into that role. So we'll see what happens. But that's everything I wanted to share. I think this morning, kind of debrief for myself what I went through yesterday, and maybe not the best interview, but first of the season, hopefully first of several, throughout the months of, I guess this is the end of May, but so throughout June, July, and potentially August. So we'll see how it all goes. I don't know. Wish me luck. Comment down below. Some encouragement, some tips and tricks for interviewing. And that's it. Happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend. I will catch you on Monday. Like, subscribe, share, etc. Thanks for watching.